What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler. This is video 1 of 2 for today/tonight, I guess, since this is a later upload. And today we're going to be reviewing cocaine. Hope you guys do enjoy, as well as I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I've been having some fun making it. Drop a like if you guys do. Let's dive right into it. So, first and foremost, I want to say that this is not something I encourage. I say this in pretty much all of my substance reviews, let alone most if not all of my videos, but in this one also, this is another substance that I gotta make it very clear, don't try this. Like, this, of all the substances on my channel, this is up there for shit you shouldn't try. So, let's get into the pros here, an unbiased review here, pros and cons. So, pros. First and foremost, I guess for some this could be considered a con, but, it's very quick from start to finish. The come up, the high, the come down is all, can happen within the span of an hour, that entire process. And that alone can be a pro because it's not something that you have to allocate a ton of time for. It's something that you can just kind of do when you have a little bit of free time in the day, as opposed to like something like acid where you have to kind of set aside an entire day almost to just trip. The next thing is it makes you feel really, really good. And by that, I mean, you just feel really like Superman-ish. You feel like you are capable of doing whatever you're trying to do. So that's a pro because a lot of the substances that I review on this channel, the effects don't have many pros, and I, sometimes have a harder time understanding why people are addicted to them, especially from my personal experience with them. But this is one of those substances where I can say that I do actually understand it. The effects are positive, it makes you feel really good, it really amps you up, makes you just feel really just Superman. You just feel fucking dope, The next thing that is a pro, in my opinion, is it's a really, fairly common and pretty good, if I'm going to be honest here, social and or party drug. It's one of those things that, in my opinion, it's probably the only hard drug that you could bust out at a party that doesn't really have a stigma around it. Like, if I pulled up to a party and popped out some Xans, there would be quite a few people calling me an idiot. But if I was at a party, cooling it, sipping some drinks, and railing a line or two, I don't really think anyone would ask any questions. So I consider that a pro because it doesn't really carry that stigma, and it's a good drug to kind of do in a social environment, I guess, because it doesn't really like knock you out or make you super like dysfunctional, I guess you could say. You still function. It's just very different. It's kind of difficult to explain, but it's not like Xans or opiates where you're dysfunctional. But either way, the next thing on the list, which kind of ties in with that, is it can make you productive depending on the task. If you're cleaning or you got to do something. Coke is an amphetamine at heart, and although this may be a bit of a stretch and a broad comparison, think of Adderall, for example. For those of you who have taken it, I have ADD. I've had a prescription for it. When you take it, it makes you more focused. Cocaine, in certain scenarios, on certain tasks, very specific things, can have a similar effect of making you more focused. Now, I'm not saying, oh, dude, you don't need Adderall, drill some fucking lines. But I'm saying that that's one of the things that come with it, being an upper. Last but not least on the pros, it's memorable. I consider that a pro because things like Xans aren't memorable because half the time you literally can't remember. But Coke, you're going to recall. And it'll probably be something you talk about with your buddies unless it was a bad time. Now let's go to the cons. All right, so first and foremost here, listen up, motherfuckers. It goes so fast, and this is like the most generic, cocaine statement ever. Like, I feel like everybody who thinks of cocaine, like, this is just such a generic thing to say, but really, truly, honestly, when you buy Coke, it always goes faster than you expect or you think. You always blow through it faster than you wanted to, and I consider that a big con because, I just hate that. It's a pet peeve of mine. Like, when I get weed and I plan out how long I'm going to have it, and then I smoke.
Target acquired.
Too much and I run out, it irritates me, not because I can't get any more, but because I didn't stick to the plan. It just bothers me. I'm kind of like that. So it also bothers me when substances cocaine in particular, go real quick like that and do that shit where you can never predict it. You know, I always say, oh, this coke will last me a couple days, and then fucking 12 hours later, here I am, still awake, you know? Next thing on the cons, and this is probably one of the biggest cons, is cocaine is remarkably addictive. Reason being, it's, you know, beyond the whole, like, what actually chemically makes it addictive, the real kind of scary part of it is not only is it so addictive, but it lasts for such a short amount of time that if someone were to get addicted to it, you got to do it a lot, and it's so expensive to maintain. That's another thing that I'm going to tie into this con. Throw that on the list too. Probably one of the most, if not the most expensive drug habit you can maintain. Cocaine is fucking expensive. It is not made in the US. If you live in the US and you do coke, you have a very expensive hobby or addiction. If you live in Colombia, more power to you, chief. I don't know what to tell you, but I assume most of you don't, if any of you. So for all of you Americans out there, and probably more expensive in countries like the UK and stuff, I'd imagine. But either way, for everyone out there who, knows the price of coke, you know that to get something good, it's going to cost you a lot. So it's a very slippery slope. It's just a bad mixture. It's like a quadruple-edged sword, literally. It doesn't last very long. It's ridiculously addictive. It's super expensive, and yeah, that's just fucked. That's just fucked. Not only that, another con is the long-term impact of coke on your body and health is fucked. I mean, like, your heart is gonna be horrible if you consistently do cocaine. Like, if you do coke consistently when you're a kid and then stop and think, like, just because you haven't done coke in 20 years, your heart's okay, you fucked up, chief. I'm gonna tell you that. Go to the doctor and get it checked, because cocaine will ravage your shit. And that's the thing. When people think of drugs that, like, fuck you up, they think of, or fuck you up physically like that, they think of, like, heroin and crack and meth. But you don't necessarily think of coke, because it's more of a common kind of party thing. You know, it's rare, nevertheless, but it's not necessarily in the same kind of tier as those drugs like meth and heroin and crack and shit like that. Yet again, it still has some really serious fucking health impacts, you know? I mean, I'm not going to list them all off. I'm not a doctor, but look into it. You know, for real, look into that shit. It's pretty scary. Last but not least on the cons list here is the come down is a piece of shit. I'm going to just say that up front. The come down's a piece of dick, all right? Because you quite literally, you know, I almost compare a coke come down to Molly, in all honesty, because you feel like you're on top of the world, and then it happens fast, and that's the part that makes it shitty. Molly, it's a bit of a slower come down. Coke, the entire thing happens so quickly that you go from your peak to zero so fast that you barely even notice it. It sucks. By the time you hit the rock bottom and you're back at square one, you're sitting there fiending. You're like, damn, I could go for some more. And pretty much every person I know who does coke has that issue. You know, it's not like you either do coke and you do it once and you're addicted and you can't stop, or you're not. It's like everybody has to deal with that. You know, I railed my first line of coke and I was like, fuck, that was awesome. I want another one. But I had to control myself. You know, it's one of those things where it's really, really kind of risky and dangerous. And the come down shit, it's just, the come down adds to that risk. It's fucked. So either way, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Keep an eye on your sub boxes later tonight, possibly early tomorrow morning for the next one. Since I did miss yesterday's upload, I was going to double upload, but I just got home, so